Hi everyone, how are you? I'll get you out of this screen that you all just adore. Well, actually, let me check one more thing. Make sure that, my voice is working. My voice is working. Hello? Okay, you know what I mean. Happy Mother's Day. And I mean that across the board to people who have not given birth, to that are actual mothers, to those that have fulfilled that mother role, for those who get all the credit for being a mother because they gave birth. Lots of things. I mean it. You know who you are, and you don't have to be a female to be a mother. Huh? Yeah. Think about it. Who does mothering? If you think about the word mothering and the loving and whatnot, is that fathering? Or is that mothering? Either way, whatever happened in the Watts case, nobody was mothering or fathering Bella and Cece. And that is what I'm getting so frustrated about, because they got lost in all of this. They were lost in everything alive because their mother had an agenda and their father would not confront her. Their father feared confrontation to such a degree that he may have falsified a confession to get people off of him. False confessions are a thing. Does that mean I think he's innocent? I don't know. I don't know what happened there, but the rhetoric of what happened does not make sense. And anybody who believes those headlines, like I say, good. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Just keep living your life like the grinning idiot that you are, not knowing that there are things below the surface and that you've been blessed with the best life because you've never had to outthink somebody. You've never had to have your first bully be your mother. You've never had to think upside down and backwards to survive. With that being said, stay off the internet, because it's going to tell you things that you're not going to understand. I am so grateful right now that there is a time and a place where people are actually listening to the truth. It's taken years for this to happen. Years and years. And I'm not sure why people are actually paying attention to the truth as opposed to the rhetoric right now. And it may be because of the shift in how much we are seeing that mainstream media tells you what they need to say so that their advertisers are happy and they make money rather than what is true. No different than what is going on YouTube right now, and the fact that I'm demonetized because I narrated the manifesto that was popular in the papers. And how many years ago was that? So I have less of a right of freedom of speech on YouTube than I did or would have had 20 some years ago. Something that was posted in the New York Times, Washington Post, and every smaller news cycle, I'm not allowed to narrate, as that is seen as the promotion of, well, I can't even probably say the word. Well, I'm not monetized now, so why do I care? I'm accused of being promoting violence for narrating the manifesto from Theodore Kaczynski in a 5-part series. I deleted it. I have no problem deleting it if that's the way that they wanted it. But to take my monetization away is absolute bull. And I just hope that Big Daddy Elon Musk will buy YouTube and straighten this out, because he's done such good work for Twitter. And now on Twitter, you have freedom of speech. And to get a hold of anybody through YouTube, you have to go to Twitter, because then they don't want you talking about them. And sadly, they'll act like they're going to help you, and then they actually don't behind the scenes. So very, very frustrated with the whole thing in freedom of speech and people wanting to believe and purport the rhetoric that they are fed because they have the inability to critically think. Now, as we know, I do my work with the original content, but still, I am using an old video from Shanann's Facebook herself. So I am doing this work under the Fair Use and Copyright Act of Section 107 of the Fair Use and Act and Disclaimer, the Fair Use 4-Factor Balancing Act purports that a small portion of the original material is used, that new work is critique, satire, or education, and that the commercial value of the original is not diminished. That means when somebody takes all your content and does all your stuff for super chats and everything, and then destroys your channel so you don't get anything, to the point that no one even knows that you were the one who did the work. That's what that's cost. I'm just saying. Anyway, and that new work is predominantly the original product of the user. With that being said, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use. Okay, so what appears to be happening is not only are the shiners. Okay, sidebar here. What's a shiner? And I put up so it's in this Watts free-for-all thread that's really good. I'm in it and getting a lot of good food for thought. Of course, there will be the jealous little shiners who aren't part of the conversation that will come over and go to my channel and try to say what they're supposed to be telling me, because obviously the Grand Poobah of the shiners has told them to go to my channel and tell me that I'm disgusting, but they can't spell disgusting, so they misspell it and it says dick sucking, and there's nothing I can do about it. I can't explain to them that you spell disgusting this way and dick sucking that way. I just have to go with it, and if I'm dick sucking while I'm doing this, who knows, right? I'm not monetized. I can apparently do whatever, so okay, take a sip of coffee. I'm going to take a sip of my water. My water. Shanann said water really weird too. Like, water. And I say water. And different people say water different. Different people say washcloth. And I say washcloth. So, a shiner is a person that believes the rhetoric. They believe that Shanann's parents are the ultimate victim and that they alone deserve all monies, enough that they built an outdoor kitchen with I believe it has a wood-fired pizza oven from what I've heard, beautiful outdoor kitchen, etc., because, Shanann's mom just loved to cook. And so I will say that with some of the donations, and I don't think that they were donations given to the parents. I think this was a separate thing of donations. There is reportedly a beautiful memorial to Shanann and the girls and Nico. And, but I don't think that her parents funded that. I know that there's some stuff with that. So if you know that, please impart that knowledge. I don't mind. But they believe that the Watts should burn in hell like their monster son, because if I don't say the word monster 92,000 times per minute, then the shiners will attack. Kind of like in It's a Wonderful Life, when a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. If I don't say Chris Watts is a monster, then I get the dick sucking, disgusting texts about, they couldn't even watch my video. It's so dick sucking. Oh God. So anyway, it appears that there was a woman before the untimely, unfortunate event, the unthinkable, occurred with Shanann. And this woman, I don't remember how she passed, but what she was doing was raising funds for running for something, and her motto was "Shine like Shannon." Well, the lore is that the shiners got confused and thought that meant this Shannon, so they started saying "Shine like Shannon." And there's a similar channel name of a woman who goes with the rhetoric, so she's got a lot of subscribers. She probably makes a good amount of money. I make nothing. I get attacked by the shiners and told I'm dick sucking and disgusting and dick sucking all the time, and I make nothing. I do this for free. I take this abuse for free because I believe that there is no amount of money that would make me believe what they're trying to say here. And I believe there is no amount of money that would ever make me comfortable with the lack of investigation as a United States citizen, in knowing that this could happen to me, somebody I love, or my neighbor could be absolutely railroaded into something that they either didn't commit alone, or had reasons, and I'm not justifying it. I'm saying that we have guilty by reason of insanity, by reason of other things. So there are considerations in even if you have a guilty plea, and people are failing to realize that in this case. So a shiner is generally in that group that has a very similar name, and they believe that they need to say shine like Shannon. And if you look, so usually when something terrible will be said in anybody who's speaking the truth, if you look at the username and see what other channels they follow, it'll generally be something with a very similar shining light name. And they will also follow other channels that just show pictures of babies. And I think that's creepy. I know that a lot of people might jump me, but hear me out. There are people who, watch certain things because they think it's cute and funny and whatever. And that's fine to see the occasional video of somebody else's child. But to sit there and have that be all that you consume of little girls, little kids that aren't yours, and then you just sit there and say things about them and refer to them as their names like they're your children, and you're following them, it's weird. Now we all have our, favorite kid here and there that we'll follow. So don't be a shiner and come at me and be like, but I watched this kid and it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. I'm not talking about you, am I? I'm talking about the weirdos that do. So you have channels right now that are coming under fire because Shanann was ahead of her time, and somebody in the Reddit said that she would have been a very good family content blogger, and that's where she would have been good. And she was, a pioneer in that, because we have these videos to look at now to say, okay, people like me who see these things for what they are, that these are not what they are purported to be, that in fact there are many layers here, that this is part and portion of a bigger picture. Okay? And that's what gets lost when people say things, because a few things were brought up recently in the Reddit that I think are great talking points. One is Christopher Watts on the spectrum? I truly believe he is. Now, there would be people in that same chat that said, my child is autistic and I'm offended that you said that. No. We're not talking about your child. We're not talking about the thousands and thousands of children out there or that have grown on to adults that would never hurt anybody. We are talking about a portion of people that are also autistic that have also had criminogenic behavior. We've seen this in at least one school shooter. I believe that you can identify it in Chris Watts. The porch interview where he's standing there rocking back and forth, that's called self-stimming. And a lot of people understand that and they can see that. He was overstimulated, so he's trying to do something to calm that down. And he's bouncing back and forth almost in a rocking motion. If you see the confession and he's got his head down, that clock is ticking. He hasn't slept in so long. All of the pressure from maybe what he did is on him. But then you also have the Tamburglar massaging him in a sensual way. He's being touched. He's hearing things. He's got people looking at him. All of that pressure to a person who may be on the spectrum explains a lot about his quasi-confession. If you go and you look at false confessions, they're actually very fascinating. People will straight up tell you they did this, they did that, because they want to stop being pressured. They want to stop being confronted. They want to stop whatever is happening and take whatever punishment it may be to just stop what is going on in that moment. And that is what I believe happened to Chris Watts. There is a whole story of what happened. And that's all any of us want. And it doesn't make us disgusting or dick sucking or anything of the other. It just means that there's a bigger conversation to be had. And if you lack the ability to critically think, that's fine. That is absolutely fine. It's not for everybody. I wouldn't recommend it. But for those of us who are having the conversation, stop insulting us, because we see you for what you are, and it's nothing but a nuisance. Stay on your Shiner channel that tells you what to say, because these same videos that those of us who are talking about this from a forensic psychology background are breaking down the same behavior, that the Shiners are looking at the same videos, being told that this is what happened, and that poor Shanann. So then they come over to the feeds, and because somebody has just told them that this is what was happening. So when we explain other areas in which this could be, are either of us correct? We don't know. We have to keep asking the questions so that then people who are back there, because there's a lot of people who need to talk. There's a lot of people who know what really went on. And they are so afraid of talking because nobody crossed this woman. Not in life and not in death. And that woman was backed up by her mother. Nobody went against either. So if we continue to talk and that makes the whole story come out, whatever it may be, let that happen. What are the Shiners so afraid of? Are the Shiners afraid that Chris is going to get out and go and unalive a bunch of children? Is that your fear? What's your real fear? Why should the truth scare anybody if it's true? So that's what a Shiner is. And that's kind of where I'm going with that I believe. A lot of people say that Chris was very dumb and a dumb monster and all this stuff. And no, his behavior was, I believe, assessed. I think they should have went further. I don't think that they did enough. But basically they did a quick little evaluation to see what kind of a prisoner he would be, to see where to place him. And they did an IQ test then, and I believe it was 140, which is above average. So people say he's low IQ, he's dumb, he's a monster, he's stupid. No, that's not true. I do believe he's misunderstood. I do believe he was autistic, and I do believe that he feared confrontation so much that that's why she was able to run this family into the ground, financially and otherwise, because he feared confrontation so much. Because of what? Maybe because he's embarrassed, but maybe because he was on the spectrum and he didn't know how to fully emote. So join me on the Watts free-for-all on Reddit. And thank you for all that have joined up. I'm almost at 3,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for subbing and sharing and continuing the conversation. And I will talk at you all later. And again, wish all of you who are doing the jobs of a mother Happy Mother's Day, because your love is changing the future. Children that are loved and nurtured make healthy adults that make healthy decisions. And with that, I'm going to end. I've still got that whopper of a headache that's just not going away. So I'm going to end here. And thank you for listening. I will talk to you all soon.